In at 10, Dawnbreaker. Aside from being the reward for a Daedric side quest, Dawnbreaker was expected to be an antagonist in the now cancelled Dormitibus Remastered. Dawnbreaker appears to be a heavily damaged purple mangled animatronic, the design of which was based on Shadow Freddy from FNAF 2, and presumably on the purple animatronic hoax character. By his design, he's very similar to the Havoc animatronics. His torso is ripped and torn up, large tears exposing the endoskeleton underneath, several limbs with hooks instead of feet are sticking out of his torso and out of his head, making Dawnbreaker appear similar to a spider. And I think we all know how I feel about that. Any animatronic that looks like a spider needs to be put down and sent back to the depths of hell from whence it came. In at 9, Springlich. Springlich was a character in the Dormitibus beta. Not much was ever planned for him, and he was one of the 2 characters modeled by Golden Nexus, both of which didn't make the final cut. Springlich's body is actually turned the opposite direction to its head. This would have made it constantly walk backwards, which was actually going to be a part of its minigame. That way it was possible to make him stumble and fall, causing him to become stunned. They appear to be a Springlock victim, as they have what appears to be either blood vessels or muscles inside their suit, and they have a decaying head in their mask and only one eye. They have long strips of withering on their mask, and their lower jaw is heavily worn down. Different sized holes cover the rest of their body, especially in their torso and their upper arms. And at 8, the Havoc Puppet. He is responsible for the creation of every animatronic in the game aside from one. Havoc Puppet is formed by a cracked and distorted version of the puppet's original mask, which is now missing its lower half. The head has a small hole placed right above where the mouth would be, and 2 white pinprick pupils on the inside of empty sockets, which presumably are pitch black. The lower missing half of the main mask features 7 black tentacle-like extensions, 3 at the back and 4 at the front, kinda like a weird mullet. The side 2 and the front are used as legs, while the other 2 at the front seem to be like arms, which is just all kinds of wrong. The back 3 tentacles also seem to be like tails. I don't know why those aren't the legs, but whatever. It also has a crack on the top of its head, and you know, it's wrong. Okay, it looks like a giant messed up spider, and like I said, we all know how I feel about spiders. I hate them. And at 7, Molten Evil. Molten Evil is basically the shadow body of Dormitibus. It was a Springlock victim, and it is heavily implied to be related to RWQFSFASXC. Molten Evil is a pure black animatronic rabbit that is melted. They look very similar to Toy Bonnie, and it's most likely meant to be Shadow Bonnie. Molten Evil looks close to what Toy Bonnie looks like, but with some key differences. He is entirely black, and appears to have a grimy looking texture to them. His eye sockets are filled with a white color and a white substance, which is most likely plasma. Get your mind out of the gutter, which is actually also seeping out from their eyes, and it's running down their face a la Crying Child, which hadn't actually been introduced yet, interestingly enough. All of his teeth are glowing a bright white, and so is his bow tie, and his bow tie, however, has melted slightly, making it lose its original shape. Don't all these animatronics just seem friendly to you? And at 6, Havoc Freddy. Havoc Freddy is a distorted manifestation accident, both from Havoc Puppet, who attempted to make a physical body for the spirits in Purgatory from plasma. When alive, the spirit's name was Ted. Get it? Ted became Fred? Never mind. Havoc Freddy bears a slight resemblance to his real counterpart, but for the most part looks very different. He mainly consists of a slightly dark brown color scheme, and he has a giant hole in the right side of his mask, revealing a large portion of his endoskeleton. His right eye hangs out of this hole by a few wires, consisting mainly of a black color with a red pupil. His left eye has a blue color to it, like his real counterpart. His eyebrows look rather large, with his right one just missing a small amount of itself. And his top hat appears to be just fine, though it may have some slight damage done to its base. A 2-segment long arm is connected to the left side of his head, with it wearing no suit on it, and the hand for the arm appears to be missing a finger segment, and it's also holding a microphone. Havoc Freddy doesn't have a suit for his lower jaw, and his entire jaw is just hanging low, wobbling to and fro by just a couple wires, and the rest of his body is just destroyed, which makes it extremely unsettling. Halfway through, into number 5, Shadow Rat. Shadow Rat is the final antagonist of Five Nights at Candy's 3. He is a purple shadow version of Monster Rat. He appears in the Deepscape and in the Shadow Challenge. Shadow Rat's appearance is similar to that of the rat from FNAF 2. He has hollow eyes and jagged teeth, much like the rat from FNAF 2, and Shadow Rat's forehead is also stitched together. The sprite of Shadow Rat also looks more similar to that of Monster Rat, seeing as how they're basically the same thing except one's purple, and you can't really see his eyes when he turns around. Shadow Rat also has another form only seen in the Shadow Challenge. The Shadow Challenge only includes the Shadow Rat, which is again a purple shadowy form of the original Monster Rat that has no pupils and is much more menacing than the Monster Rat, with a pose more elegant, as the wiki put it, and pronounced than the Monster Rats, which is kind of like hunched over and stuff, but no. This one's loud and proud and ready to just tear you to bits, and not in the fun way. In at 4, Soul Cage. The Soul Cage is an animatronic from Dormitibus, and it resembles a lamp that has 4 heads of Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica. Basically, it's an animatronic based on the bad ending from FNAF 3. The Soul Cage is made up of some props from Fazbear's Fright. The base of the Soul Cage is Bonnie's torso, with Bonnie's head being connected to it. Chica's head is connected to the left side of the main torso by a metal rod, and on the right side of the main torso is Freddy's torso, which is being connected to the main torso by 2 metal rods. Freddy's torso is tilted to the side, making him stick out, and Freddy's head is connected to his torso as well, luckily. Foxy's head is connected to the main torso by a rather long metal rod, which is actually coming out of the back, which is weird, and Foxy's head is positioned right above Bonnie's head. Each head that the Soul Cage has contains a single light source in their left eye socket. Each head also has large, sharp teeth in their jaw, because of course they do. They had to have something more, right? Like, it wasn't enough to just have 4 heads. You have to make them have razor sharp teeth too. They also have a grimy looking texture to them, which may be a reference to the fire at Fazbear's Fright, but can't be certain because I didn't design the character. Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy also don't have their ears anymore, and there's 4 robotic legs because why the hell not? Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Havoc Chica. Do I need to explain? Havoc Chica, aka Maria, is a Havoc animatronic that hails from the Dormitibus universe. She is a Havoc version of Chica, obviously, and is a failed attempt by the Havoc puppet to give her spirit a physical form. While having the same color scheme as Chica, the two look nothing alike, alright? Not at all. The mask that Havoc Chica wears has a good amount of damage done to it. Her right eye socket has grown in size, arching upwards towards her feathers. The rest of her mask has small withering in a few places, mainly near her right eye socket and her forehead. She has no eyes at all, resulting in her being blind. Her jaw isn't directly connected to her head like Chica from FNAF 1, and instead her jaw looks more like her withered counterpart. Her jaw has withering on the sides of it and some towards the front. Her entire head is attached to a suitless limb segment, making her stick out in a way from her body. It's just grotesque and nauseating to look at. She looks like a chicken, like when they're like trying to get seeds. She looks like that. Just look at what they did to my baby. Look at how they massacred my girl, Chica! But ultimately, in at number 2, Golden Call. Golden Call is more or less like Springtrap design-wise. He's a spring-locked suit with a corpse inside of him, and he has become green due to his color rotting away. Half of Golden Call's left ear is bent, causing it to stick out in an angle. His other ear looks fairly intact, other than some slight withering on its sides. His black top hat also has some slight withering on it, mainly towards the base and sides, and he has one small hole above his right eye socket from some withering. Of course, it's withering, alright? It's withered. It's very withered, but it's not a withered animatronic. The hole also appears to be connected to his right eye socket, making it slightly bigger than normal. On the left side of his head, there's a larger hole, and he has a bit more withering on the sides of his head too, and another batch of some red substance is sticking to this section of his head, which is most likely blood or flesh or something similar. Golden Call also has a set of endoskeleton eyes in his head that have red pupils, and the eyes of his corpse are hanging out of their eye sockets and appear to be blue, which is wonderful because that means I can relate. He has slight withering on his snout, his lower jaw has been slightly degraded on the edges, and then inside there's 2 large things, okay? What organs this could be are unknown, but his entire torso is also heavily worn down, and his pelvis has a single hole in the front that it reveals like some more blood vessels, because of course it does. It's just disgusting. Finally, in at number 1, Garvey. Garvey is the Dormitibus version of Springtrap. Garvey is the penultimate antagonist in Dormitibus. As a human, he was the man who killed the missing children. He later went on to get trapped in Spring Bonnie, becoming Springtrap, and then was burned to a permanent death in the Fazbear's Fright fire. He looks absolutely horrific. The suit on his limbs and body are heavily tattered and shredded, and his organic remains are far more visible than they were with Springtrap or Scraptrap. His lower jaw is deformed and broken, which it actually disappears on at least one occasion, showing Garvey's corpse mouth and jaw. Garvey now has an unnatural animalistic-like stance, walking on all 4 of his limbs. His limbs also appear to be snapped in multiple places, alluding to these limbs being bent in unnatural ways, and the fact that his left hand serves as a foot and his left foot serves as a hand I don't want this anywhere near my life, okay? He is also much bigger than Springtrap or any other threat in the game, okay? He's absolutely terrifying and scarier than any of the animatronics in this game or any other fan game, hands down. And he was made before the Afton name reveal, so it's not even Afton.
Coming in at number 10, Chester the Chimp, Withered. Now, while staying true to his original appearance, Withered Chester is the older and broken down version. He lacks his right upper arm and left lower leg suit covering, revealing his endoskeleton underneath. Part of his face is completely removed alongside his casting for his eyes and his left ear, and also his body seems to be pretty dirty. He also seems to be missing part of his eyes, or at least some of his eyes. He only got 2. You know what I'm saying? But believe me, this chimp is not the chimp we know and love with the symbols. You know, the one making the music? This weathered chimp can stay in the animatronic jungle. Thank you.
And at 9, Candy. Candy the cat is the central antagonist of Five Nights at Candy's and Five Nights at Candy's Remastered. I mean, I hope that would be obvious. He's an animatronic cat who, like the other animatronics, wanders around the restaurant in search of the night guard. He also has a twin sister named Cindy the cat. Sorry dude, I know what that's like. Not really, not like a twin, but like I know what it's like to have a sister. Candy is a blue animatronic with a red tie, rosy cheeks, and red eyes. Same. Candy has triangular ears and has triangular teeth on their upper jaw, and his appearance heavily resembles the toy animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. In later games, Candy appears to be the same as he was in the first game, but more cartoonish and like kind of smaller than his original version. He also has a 16-bit appearance to match him with more arcade-like characters, because you know, FNAF's all about the 8-bits and stuff, and it's a FNAF fan game, so I hope that makes sense.
Coming in at number 8, Monster Vinny. So in one of my reviews on the Nightmare channel, I talk about dolls, right? How many times do I need to talk about dolls? I freaking hate them too. Okay, this is the worst one because it's a puppet. Hello, like it's a puppet. Where are the strings for this dude? I mean, it looks like he is controlled, but by who? Okay, instead of sharing the same eyes as Nightmarion and the new Vinny, the eye part of the mask is just wide open. Okay, the eyes appears to be held up by a metal frame from inside the mask. The jaw appears to be able to move like a dummy. The mouth contains, yet again, sharp teeth. You can shine the light on him. So how is a man supposed to find him? You don't. He finds you. Christ's sakes, man. Let alone he is the under the bed type of monster. The longer you play, see, this is why I don't like dolls and puppets. Okay? I like to put them under my bed. Stay there. Don't come out, please.
And at 7, Reaper Balloon Boy. Reaper Balloon Boy was introduced in Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken before being brought back in Final Nights 4 Fates Entwined. However, his Final Nights 4 appearance is much worse, so I'll be focusing on that one for this number. Reaper Balloon Boy's body appears to be immense for a small animatronic. He has long extending arms with blue and red striped sleeves and has protruding fingers at the end of his hands. But like, obviously they're protruding because like, you know, they're coming out of his hand, but like they're more like stumpy. It's weird. He also has many red scratches all over his body, possibly resembling human cuts. In Final Nights 4, however, his appearance becomes much more disfigured and rough, with his face and fingers being stretched out even more and sporting multiple sharp-looking blades on his propeller cap. Reaper Balloon Boy appears in Investigation 4 in Final Nights 4, and he, along with the other Reaper animatronics, try to attack Max Donovan in the hospital bedroom. If the player hears him laugh, they must go up to him and shine him with the flashlight to repel him. The scariest thing about this animatronic, though, is his museum description that reads, quote, "not related to Danny DeVito."
Coming in at number 6, the Withered Rat is somewhat similar to the Withered Cat. He only activates on the last few nights. Not much is known about him, but like I said, he only appears in night 5 and starts to go ballistic by night 6. He is possessed by an actor from the Rat and Cat Theater, or so we presume. The Rat and Cat seem to be the only animatronics that will brutally murder a teenager, at least in broad daylight. When I first saw this, I'm like, nah fam, thank God I ain't a teen anymore. But this may be because of the incident seen during FNAF 3 in their mini games. Like I said, FNAF 3, alright? So when the 2 actors died in the suits, and y'all should know that, excuse me, they ain't no Gundams though. They ain't no Gundam warriors trying to get out the suit. Get out that suit. You know, when you're done with it, wash the damn thing. The last thing you want is a moldy suit. I guess these withers can just give a rat's ass. I guess we gotta get the good cheese and go trap them.
Halfway through in at number 5, the BOA. The BOA, otherwise known as the Box of Abominations, is a nickname that I gave my sister. Just kidding. It's an animatronic hybrid from the same game that makes us all beg for death. Haha, yeah. The main head for the BOA belongs to Toy Freddy. He has no ears connected to his head, and his top hat has a few holes in it, resulting in wires poking out. Toy Freddy has a small hole right above his right eye socket and a slightly bigger hole on the right side of his head. He's missing his right eye, and his right eye socket has melted slightly. His remaining eye is pure white along with his iris. He has no eyelids, and neither do any of the other heads. Yeah, that's right, this one has multiple. Both his upper jaw and lower jaw have melted along with his cheeks. This has also caused his endoskeleton jaw to be revealed more, even when his jaw is closed.
Coming in at number 4, Blank, the animatronic. Okay, now this one is just wrong, alright? It physically scared the shit out of me, alright? When I watch these videos, I'm like, come on, man. It's bad enough we have animatronic demons gunning for our heads, but now you got a blank face looking Slender Man type of robot, or should I say an animatronic, wanting your soul? I do not know what is worse. The fact that little children used him as a coloring book? Not only that, no one wants to fix this poor bot. They all need some type of maintenance. Come on, a little lube, grease, it ain't gonna hurt nobody. I can't speak for Blank. He may just leave you alone if you restored him like the Pimp My Animatronics show. See, now with Freddy being your main host, that might be a good show. Who am I to speak though? He is a loner, and God forbid, if you see what he is drawing, good luck for you.
Getting close to the end in at number 3, Shadow Cat. Shadow Cat is the shadowy form of the monster cat, the quaternary antagonist of Five Nights at Candy's 3. It first appears in the pre-night cutscene of Night 3 and is only seen through its jump scare when the player stands in the darkness for too long. Shadow Cat does not appear in the Shadow Challenge. Shadow Cat, much like Shadow Rat, shares most of its features from the cat from FNAF 2 with a stitched forehead and hollow eye sockets, just like my soul. The Shadow Cat also shares his appearance with the Monster Cat from FNAF 3, mainly with the sharpened teeth and fangs, which weren't present in the original cat from FNAF 2. God, I hope not. Shadow Cat can only be found in the Dreamscape simulations on Nights 3, 4, and 5, and Shadow Cat's only visual depiction is its jump scare, a 2D screen accompanied by a roar shared with the Shadow Rat. Why are these things so goddamn similar? Okay? Be original. It's your goddamn game. Think of something new. Love you though. And ultimately in at number 2, Stage Bonnie. Stage Bonnie is an antagonist in Final Nights 4 Fates Entwined. He is the original Spring Bonnie from Fredbear's Family Diner, as well as the very first model of Bonnie. The name of Stage Bonnie comes from the museum level, which unlocks after beating Night 5, however it's just the Spring Bonnie from 1973. Stage Bonnie is a golden yellow animatronic rabbit that doubles as both animatronic and suit. He sports articulated ears that are able to bend, he also wears a purple bow tie like Fredbear, and also like Fredbear, Stage Bonnie wears white gloves and has green eyes. While not run down like the other animatronics, there's just something about this guy that makes him creepier than most of his other counterparts. I don't know if it's because seeing a yellow Bonnie repaired is weird since all the other versions have been run down, or if it's the pose or the posture or the fact that William used it to murder like 17 kids, but Stage Bonnie is still pretty damn creepy despite being the cleanest animatronic on this list. And finally, in at number 1, Lollipop. Dude, what the actual living flying hell is this thing? Goddamn. Lollipop appears in FNAF 3 in the thank you image behind New Candy and Withered New Cindy. He is required to get the ultimate ending, and Lollipop is an anthropomorphic peppermint. The animatronic being mostly just a head with a body attached to it, obviously. I mean, like, I don't know why they felt the need to include that on the wiki. He wears a steel blue job outfit along with a sailor's cap. And to find Lollipop, the player must talk to all of the toys, and when they say, if you have something to say, say it now, type where is she? All caps, no spaces. Then they will explain how to find Lollipop. Again, I don't know why the wiki couldn't just tell you where to find Lollipop. And then you gotta play one of his games and collect the piece of the 4th star. But seriously, Lollipop's jump scare? Even like just the image for it is absolutely terrifying. What the hell? Like I thought that Shadow Cat or Blank was bad. No, what the ever-loving is this thing? Or, as Jay put it, no one wants to lick this thing. That's relatable. And at 10, Withered Fredbear. Withered Fredbear from Final Nights 1, as you'd expect, is a withered version of Fredbear. However, there is only a head seen during this character's night appearance, as it will poke its head through the holes in the ceiling in the attic. You just need to shine your light at him to prevent him from jump scaring you. Other than that, he is more or less a toned down version of Nightmare Fredbear, but with less bulk as we can see in the extras for the first Final Nights game. His jump scare is also frightening, coming out of seemingly nowhere like most jump scares, but with it being only its head, it gives the illusion of some odd movement that sets me on edge. Like it's his head just coming straight at you or like at an angle, so like he's kind of like doing this or something. It's weird. And at 9, Burnt Chica. Burnt Chica appears in the second Final Nights game, Final Nights 2 Sins of the Father, and Final Nights 4 Fates Entwined. The two versions are definitely different design-wise, but I'll be focusing on the model from Final Nights 2 for this number. Every time it says Final Nights, my body tries to say FNAF. Burnt Chica looks like Withered Chica, only that she is burnt completely this time. Her left leg below the knee is missing and forces her to hop around, kinda like a chicken. A majority of her right arm is missing, with only part of her upper arm remaining, and she still suffers from a missing left hand and a broken jaw, with the suit like having like her jaw kind of hanging, but most of it's also kind of missing. It's weird. Strangely, she also appears to be the only burnt animatronic who still has eyeballs, which are gray and featureless. The entire front of her torso appears to also be torn open, revealing a strange lack of an endoskeleton torso, which is odd to say the least. She seems to have endoskeleton at the joints, but that doesn't make sense because if the fire was hot enough to melt the endoskeleton, why did it only burn the casing? Why didn't it melt the endoskeleton at the joints? And at 8, Shadow Spring Bonnie. Shadow Spring Bonnie is one of the two primary antagonists of Final Nights 2. He is also one of the final animatronics of the game. Shadow Spring Bonnie resembles Springtrap, as is to be expected when mentioning Springlock suits. Similar to Springtrap, he lacks the suit on his feet and has a majority of his right ear missing. Overall, he has rips, but is not missing any limbs or parts at all, which is a stark contrast to the burnt animatronics in the first 4 nights of this game. His face glows white, which is notable when he's in the hallway, but also gives him a more sinister appearance that pushes the something supernatural idea that most of the Shadow animatronics have, like Shadow Bonnie from FNAF AR. Shadow Spring Bonnie takes the roles of Burnt Freddy and Burnt Foxy on Night 5. He is very fast, so the player must seal the vent quickly or else they'll get jump scared, and he also may appear in the hallway. However, you should never use your flashlight, otherwise you'll get insta-killed. Also, inspect his face when he appears there, because if he's twitching, you need to close the door, and then a rattling sound will let you know when he's left. The fact that you need to look at his face closely to see if you're in danger is kinda terrifying, especially when most of what you need to do is based on fast reflexes, and if you're stuck staring at someone to see if they're twitching, you can't pay attention to what else is going on. And it's 7, Withered Cat. Withered Cat, also just known as Cat for some reason, even though they're withered and not the normal cat, is a new animatronic and one of the two main antagonists of Five Nights at Candy's 2, the other being the rat. He is the withered incarnation of the cat, although, like I said, I don't know why they just call him the cat. He, along with the withered rat, appear in only Nights 6 and 8. He also is similar to the withered rat because they're both withered. They both have the same dominant color and have fallen into disrepair. However, the cat also has hollowed eyes, with the right eye bearing stitches. Like the rat, he has a stitch running across his head and some of his joints, yet he doesn't have a metallic skin or layer showing. Unlike his monster counterpart though, he has no fanged teeth, luckily, because if he did, Jesus Christ, I would be crying. He also has exposed endoskeleton fingers along with his left hand and his lower left leg, with parts of his upper left leg being exposed. His body is damaged, as is his head. Hashtag relatable. He also seems to be less damaged than the rat. Hashtag not relatable. And at 6, Burnt Freddy. Burnt Freddy, like Burnt Chica, appears in Final Nights 2 and 4, and is a burnt version of Withered Freddy. He's a rusty and badly burned bear with a top hat and bow tie with 2 buttons on his chest, because, you know, counting buttons is important for some reason. He has a large hole in the left side of his head, revealing parts of his endoskeleton head, and I mean, at least he has one, which in Family Guy would also mean something completely different. He also lacks eyes, a left arm, a right hand, and both feet, which makes him resort to crawling, which I have to be honest isn't the most efficient method of movement. Unless I'm drunk, in which case it becomes the only way that I can get around. In Final Nights 4, Burnt Freddy's texture looks more plastic though. His chin is fixed and he's able to walk around, and he can sorta like kinda like limp. Like me when I'm slightly less drunk. Actually, I can kick ass when I'm drunk. At least if I'm playing Blade and Sorcery and pretending to be Captain America. Did that on my personal channel. It was a fun video. Gave me an excuse to drink online. Halfway through into number 5, Reaper Puppet. Ah yes, my arch nemesis. The Reaper Puppet. If you didn't know, the Reaper Puppet was the first fan animatronic ever featured on this channel, in the top 10 scary FNAF animatronics list around a year ago. The first FNAF video by me on this channel was on January 29th, 2020. Can you believe that? It's only been like a year and a half, and we already have over 200 FNAF videos. And the video I'm talking about came out a month later, on February 24th, 2020. So I have a long history with this character. The Reaper Puppet, along with Shadow Bonnie and the brother from Final Nights 1, are the only animatronics in the entire series to start off a night outside. Reaper Puppet appears to be the counterpart to the original series puppet, though it is only the Reaper Puppet's head that is similar to the core series puppet. The rest of his body is a dark shade of black. It has long stretching arms that are kind of like goo and has sharp fingers. He's like the Grim Reaper. The Reaper Puppet also has multiple tentacle-like legs, which is pretty unsettling to say the least. It can also be easily mistaken for a tree, and its legs look like roots and the shoulders look like branches. This thing is so creepy that I included it on a list that shouldn't have had any fan animatronics in it because I was so creeped out and I felt compelled to. Like how kids in Fazbear Frights are drawn to the restaurants. But like, you should see this thing try to climb over a balcony. It's horrifying. And at 4, Shadow Fredbear. Shadow Fredbear is the other primary antagonist from Final Nights 2 along with Shadow Spring Bonnie. An odd thing to note about this animatronic is that Shadow Fredbear is almost perfectly intact, only burnt black in color, which is a hard contrast to the burnt animatronics, who are absolutely destroyed. He has a few rips in his body and is missing a left hand. The area around his mouth also appears to be slightly torn, revealing a majority of his endoskeleton teeth, but everywhere else remains mostly intact. His teeth and eyes glow, which make him easier to see in the hallway, and also, for some reason, the right eye seems to float in its socket, which again only adds to the supernatural feel. But no other animatronic seems to share this design feature, so I don't know why they included it. He replaces Burnt Bonnie, the brother, and Burnt Chica on night 5, and may hide in the right vent, which results in it needing to be closed. Obviously. He may also appear in the hallway, making you have to use your flashlight when he's close, since closing your doors may actually get you killed, as well as shining your flashlight too early. His head may also appear in the brother's shack, which will be signified by a breathing noise, so if you hear that, you'll need to hit him with your flashlight in order to survive. That kind of sounds like a prophecy. I don't know why, I just kind of get the vibe of a prophecy, you know, a prophecy of death. And at 3, Glitch Balloon Boy. Glitch Balloon Boy, also known as GBB, is the secondary antagonist in Final Nights 2, and also appears on Night 5, alongside Shadow Spring Bonnie and Shadow Fredbear. GBB is the only glitched animatronic in the game. He has the shape of Balloon Boy, but he's kind of glowing and flashes 3 colors very quickly. He also seems to glitch out easily, hence its style and name. He is also the least withered animatronic in the game. The character also seems to nearly have a TV grain aesthetic to him, with certain screenshots showing horizontal lines that you'd get like if a TV didn't have service, you know, instead of like the static, it's like the staticky black and white lines. GBB also emits a distorted version of Balloon Boy's laugh, and he will go through the left vent. Seal it instantly if he appears in that vent, because if you do end up failing to seal it, he will not jump scare you like other animatronics, but rather he will appear in your office and laugh, slowly breaking all of your cameras one by one, including the vent cameras, which allows Shadow Fredbear and Shadow Spring Bonnie to basically kill you instantly. While not jump scaring the player, he is certainly a mischievous scamp, making him scarier than the other two, at least in my opinion.
Coming in at number 2, the Penguin. Yeah, the Penguin. He's a glitching animatronic unlike the other ones. He doesn't kill you though. He forces you to restart your camera monitor instead. You know how important your camera monitor is. Leaving you open to several different attacks for several seconds. Bro, this ain't even the cream on the top. You see him on the security camera, then he disappears. Next thing you know, you see his little beady eyes in your room, and boom! A quick snap and he's in front of you. The sense of horror of him just popping out and then sabotaging your base of operations kinda sounds like someone we know. Homie Brian, huh? Yeah, all jokes aside though, this ain't the penguins from Madagascar, I tell ya. He's mean, man, like a ice cold, bad, just bad.
And he's Dirt nasty.
Dirt nasty.
Finally, in at number 1, Reaper Spring Bonnie. Reaper Spring Bonnie, however, is the opposite of Stage Bonnie. This Reaper variant appears in Final Nights 3 and 4 and is an absolute monstrosity, but he is definitely more terrifying in Final Nights 4. He is 100% the scariest animatronic in the games. In essence, Reaper Spring Bonnie is a nightmare spring trap. He has sharp teeth and a very damaged and withered body. His suit is dark yellow in color, and he sports a big purple bow tie on his upper chest.